today we have a book that we're discussing on stress. The title is Stress Not For Me. I think this is something that I must keep affirming to myself, keep saying over and over. Stress is not for me, stress is not for you, and stress is definitely not for you, Audrey Chirenje. Good morning, lovely lady.
Good morning, Marisa. Definitely not my portion.
Not your portion. And it's something that we should really speak against. But the thing is that it is actually an existing thing, whether we know it and whether we don't know it. Now, before we start delving into the book, tell us who wrote this book and why was this book written?
Okay, so this book, I actually worked with this team working on this book, and it was amazing that these are 3 academics,
right,
professors. They've got a list of degrees and doctors, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they all work for the Africa University in Mutare.
That's in Mutare.
Yes, one is the librarian, one works in the counseling department, and one works in the humanitarian department. So these are fundis.
Yes.
And the reason for writing this book, they've said they've worked in tertiary for most of their lives, so the students, and they thought that, you know what, they've seen a lot of issues going on, and they felt that they needed to put it down on paper so that people can read and understand and then help themselves to deal with this.
With the stress issues. And obviously in a university, you get a lot more stress. Obviously there's students and there's a counselor there. I don't know which one the counselor is, but the writers of the book is Dr. Rosemary Maturure, Mr. Leslie Chiuswa, and Dr. Priscilla Muchemwa Munasire.
Yes, that's a double barrel.
That's a double barrel there.
Yes. So the counselor is Mr. Leslie Chiuswa.
Okay.
He's the gentleman. So it's 1 gentleman and 2 ladies.
2 ladies.
Yes.
Okay. So this is absolutely fantastic. Now let's kind of maybe delve into what stress is. I know a lot of people just like, stress. Stress. What does that mean?
Thank you. So the definition of stress is defined as any event or environmental stimulus, stressor, that one responds to because he or she perceive it as challenging or threatening. Right. This goes on to what you were saying, that whether you think you're stressed or not, your body will react because it will know that you're stressed.
That you're stressed.
Yes.
And this is fantastic. Look, I was reading the synopsis somewhere here, and then it says like, where was it? Mainly a survival mechanism when historic people had to conquer wild animals and other external threats. Nowadays, stress is more oriented inward, our thought process and ruminations. This is totally incredible. Obviously, you see a lion charging at you. Oh my God, that is stressful. But then sometimes when you actually don't see anything and you're probably just sitting in your house having a cup of tea, you're probably subconsciously thinking. Your subconscious mind is active, and then that affects your body. So it's like an external and internal thing. I speak on the premise of being a therapist and how you can actually feel, if I touch your hand, give me your hand. If I touch your hand here or stress points here and then it hurts you, like, okay, this lady is a little bit stressed, and we know what to do with your body. Do you know what I mean? So this is actually quite a huge topic, isn't it?
Wow. I didn't know you were actually a therapist. And you know what? This subject is so topical because everyone is going through some kind of stress or some kind of issue, even little kids. Yes. So everyone is going through that, and we need to talk more about this subject.
Yeah, and I think it's talking more about the subject, Audrey, and also identifying different ways people let out their stress. Because, you know, you could just turn around and just start shouting at everybody in here. It's like, maybe Audrey's a little bit stressed. Let's sit down with her and talk to her and actually know how to manage people. I don't know if this is one way that these authors actually come up with, because I know they talk about the effects of stress, the causes, and the ways of relieving it. What else do they talk about?
So they also talked about something that I've personally gone through, the psychosomatic symptoms.
You are going to have to define that big word that you just said.
So okay, let me tell you a little story. Once upon a time, I'll get this incredible pain on my chest, and I'll be responding to certain events that will be happening, and then I would feel the pain. Went for tests, everything was fine. ECG, X-ray, everything was fine. But the doctor said, you know what? Most of the symptoms, and they also talk about this in their book, they say 60% of the physical symptoms that we get, whether it's a headache, whether it's a chest pain, it's actually stress related.
Wow.
So I was actually sent for forced therapy for 3 months.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And guess what? After a couple of sessions, the pain actually stopped.
Disappeared.
Yes. And then they'll teach you how to handle the stress, exercises, what to do, your breathing exercises, whatnot. Yes.
Well, I suppose this is probably point forward says self-care and stress management. You know, you have to go through those things. But you know what? Traditionally saying, culturally, whatever it is that something that we are used to saying, is this? Because some people just live through that process.
We actually don't know. That's why I really enjoyed reading this book. We don't know. So even, I think Tuku actually once sang a song, because you know you can have a headache,
Yeah.
but it can be so many other issues going on.
Yeah.
And then people are just so quick. Like these days, someone was saying that, yes, we've got a drug problem, but we also have an over-the-counter drug problem because people are just dosing themselves,
Yeah.
you know, with the pain stops and
Yeah.
whatnot. That's also a problem.
Yeah.
So you're taking a pain stop for something that's actually deeper
Than that.
Yes.
It's like we have to learn how to find the root with all of this. I suppose that's why we have a counselor in part of the business. Sit down and talk to somebody about your issues. Now, one of the themes, another theme that we're looking at is, what can we say? Personal growth and well-being.
Yes, and I think that one we've always spoken about it here, that, you know, as a person, some of the decisions you're going to have to make the good decisions, the choices. It all starts with you. Mm-hmm. And then because also even how you react to other things, it also starts with you. And then one of the quotes that I saw this morning was, you know how they always say you mustn't belittle each other's pain, because something can be stressful to you, Marisa, because of your background, because of how you grew up. But then we mustn't belittle that pain, because that's your pain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And it means something to me.
100%.
And it's important to me.
Yes.
Oh,
so I
really
think
good.
one of the things why people are even stressed out a lot, even if you look at social media, you know, someone will post something that's really relevant to them, it's topical to them, and then the comment section,
people are laughing about that, and you know, oh goodness.
They will bash and say all these things. Let me read out the quote from the book. It says, "Stress is not a disease, but it can lead to physical or mental condition and death if it is not addressed." This was sobering for me, because I didn't know that it can even lead to death if it is not addressed.
Yeah. So you know what? When you talk about leading to death, I think, you know, I'm relating to this because akafa because I'm going to BP. Stress is one of the huge factors that lead to blood pressure issues. Because I remember there was a season in my life where I was going through so much, court issues, family issues, my own personal issues, that I actually developed high blood pressure through the process, but I didn't know that. So one day I'm sitting in the car with a friend of mine, and then they are going to the doctor and they said, "Oh, I just need to get my blood pressure checked. Why don't you check yours?" And I remember that week my chest was so sore and I kept coughing, and they tested for my blood pressure and it was way high. I could have just dropped dead from a heart attack, literally. So you are right in saying that this can lead to death. So we really need to listen to our bodies, talk about our stories to one another.
Wow, that story really touching. And I liked one other point that they mentioned in the book. You know how, I think these ones, because they work with students, tertiary students, so they mentioned something about, you know how when maybe your child is at school or boarding school or university, and then there are problems happening at home.
Yeah.
So I think as our culture or as a people, we're quick to want to share with, say, my daughter is at uni, and then you're like, oh, things are not going on well here, there's no money and whatnot. They were saying that they deal with the students. It's affecting the students, their quality of life, their studies, because now they have to worry about mom and dad at home, about money. They have to worry about even, so like...
And that stresses them as well. You know, Audrey, this is so close to home because, you know, my son is in university and he's away. And one of the things that he says, he's like, oh, I asked him, are you eating well? Are you okay? And then he says, well, I've just cut down to 1 meal a day now. So I'm thinking, 1 meal a day? What are you talking about? And then he says, I just didn't want to stress you guys in sending me more money. I just had to adjust my plans. And I said, but it's not your responsibility to think for your parents. If you tell us what your issue is, we have been giving stewardship over you to make sure that you have what you need. And if we don't, then we discuss it and then we find alternative ways. But you're so right in saying that it can actually stress them. He was stressed and skinny.
It can. And for them, it was actually very topical for them because they were saying, you know, basic things like money for photocopying assignments, laptop, airtime, data. These are things that are stressing the kids out. And I know we've spoken about this, like how, okay, things are tough. You send your child out out to university. Look, I've paid the fees. That's all I can do.
Yeah.
But they need toiletries. They
Yeah.
need clothes. They
have
need
a social life.
They have a social
Yeah.
life, and it really stresses them out. And that's why I'm always joking that you've got a lot of professionals in the corporate world right now that are stressed, because some of the responses that you get just doing your business, you will see that this is the response of someone who's got underlying stress issues. Yeah.
Well, you know what? There's so much to delve into about this book, so much to talk about. But I think every one of you guys should really get this book. Where do we find it? Just quickly before we close.
They're on Amazon online, or you can get it direct from the author. You can find all the 3 authors on social media: Facebook, LinkedIn, Dr. Rosemary Maturure, Mr. Leslie Chiuswa, Dr. Priscilla Muchemwa Munasire.
That is excellent.
And
And how much is it? $10.
Chete, $10.
$10. Chete, guys. $10 to get your hands on this marvelous book, Stress Not For Me. I mean, I'm excited just talking about it. It really hits home with a lot of issues that we are going through. Mental health issues, stuff that, can kind of resonate in you and lead you probably in the right direction of where you need to be getting help. So thank you so much to the 3 authors who have written this book. Find it on Amazon, $10, Chete, or directly from the authors. Where let's just say their names again on their social media, which is Dr. Rosemary Maturure, Mr. Leslie Chiuswa, and Dr. Priscilla Muchemwa Munasirei. Please, let's get our hands on this book. And Audrey, you are looking beautiful today.
Thank you. I'm wearing blue,
You are wearing blue, your favorite color. Thank you so much for joining us, Audrey, and we will see you again next week.
Awesome.
Konapo, ipapo, by ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294, the place to be.